Clark found the net. Goal for Wednesday.
Terrific goal by Shayna.
Chris Waddle, is he going to have a crack?
Oh, he does, and it's goal. Still Glenn Wheeler. Aidan Fred wrecks the goal. It's the time for a winner.
I don't think I'm going to shock anyone when I say this, but my God, is this going to be a long, long season? Hello and welcome to the Wednesday Slide Out podcast. I'm James Mappin. Alongside me this week, as he always is Mr. Matt Johnson. Matt, I feel like I'm going to be saying this a lot this season, but yeah, it was a tough watch yesterday, weren't it, to be fair?
Yeah, it was difficult. It was really, really difficult yesterday. I think after the first 20 minutes when people had started heading down towards, I don't want to say the exits, let's say the concourse, to go and stand there and realise that they can't buy anything and then come back up. Yeah, it was a really tough watch, and Hillsborough was a really, really depressing place to be. Come the full-time whistle yesterday. Yeah, strap in because there's going to be more of it, I think.
Yeah, that is my worry. I think we had that kind of early, battle and belief and kind of, courage and stuff like that. The Leicester game was obviously a prime example of that. We saw some against, in the second half against Wrexham as well. Swansea we started to see signs, and you think, well, it's the international break. They're going to have a bit of a rest and everything will be all right. Well, they've had that rest, and yeah, I mean, look, Bristol City. We'll come on to it. Obviously, Bristol City were, they're a decent side as well, and I mean, we just made them look like Brazil at times, and even then, they didn't really get out of second gear. To be honest, like I think most teams are probably going to do. They could have really put us to the sword in that second half, I thought, but they were just being a bit kind. At least we didn't get the worst result of the weekend, anyway.
Sorry, James, that's magic. Can we all have a moment of silence for Ruben Sellers as well? What a couple of weeks he's given us all.
Oh, it's been fantastic. And I never thought we'd find a worse manager than Cisco Munoz. But, 5 games, clearly. Look at Cisco Munoz now. He was an absolute miracle worker to stay in the job for 10 games. Ruben Sellers couldn't even manage half of that. So, Sellers, I think his name is actually 5 L's in his name. But
hey, yes, come on,
come on! I love that tweet that I put out on Friday. By the way, we can't take piss out of them. Look at the state that we're in, and we're gonna do it anyway. I love that one. Loved it. Anyway, how have you been this weekend? Been up to much?
Week's been, honestly, the weekend has been a little bit quieter this weekend just because of, obviously, I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, obviously starting a new job, and that has, second week has been really, I'll be honest, very, very taxing. It's like proper, new boy vibes, like walking around and just not knowing really what's kind of going on and trying to get with it to grips as quickly as you can. So yeah, Saturday was a busy one. A haircut for my lad, and then football for my lad. Then drive up to the game, sit there depressed. Went to the protest for a very short spell because my dad had already set off towards the car, and he was stood in the piss down rain, getting soaking wet through. Set off there, drove back, got in today. Yeah, just not mountains today, James. What about you?
Yeah, well, I've just been to Centre Parks, only for the day though. It's me, sister-in-law's been there, and my niece's first birthday, so I went for the day. Actually, guess how much? 4 people for the day at Centre Parks at Sherwood Forest.
Oh, couple hundred.
£170 for a day. Like, what's all that about? I mean, Centre Parks is a bit minty in it, to be fair, but and we were kind of forced into it as well. I had no real option. Well, I could have said no, but that could have caused a bit of a few arguments. But anyway, also I've started collecting the Premier League. I mean, sorry, my lad started collecting the Premier League cards. In all seriousness, though, he has actually really got into it, to be fair. It's just a shame that we won't be seeing any card in that album that's got blue and white stripes in it in Sheffield Wednesday colours for a very, very, very long time if things carry on in this way.
Do they do a League 2 one? Do they do a League 2 one?
I think they do. I'm sure there's like the EFL started doing some. I'm sure they've done something with that, but Anyway, yeah, I don't think it drops that far down. Maybe National League or something like that as well. I mean, did you ever? I mean, these obviously the cards, but did you ever have the Panini sticker albums as a kid? And more importantly, did you ever complete one? I think I had every single one, and I think Mum and Dad bought me about 5 packs of stickers, and then that were about it. I weren't allowed anymore. Like, how are you going to fill a book with 5 packs of stickers? That's never going to happen, is it?
Yeah, it's fair enough. I think I used to buy one or beg to buy one at the start of every season, and then I'll be honest, it's much like the FPL. I'd just lose interest after a couple of weeks, and before you know it, it's gone, and it just becomes something that's gathering dust, and yeah, it rolls around. Much like the FPL team, I'll have 6-7 injuries. Like, who cares at this point? It'll have been suspended for weeks. I have no idea.
I must admit as well, my mate at school, he had a magazine that a remote control car, build your own remote control car. And about first issue was like 99 pence or something. Yeah. You get 4 wheels, nothing else. You've got to wait another week to get the next bits. Anyway, it's like issue number 175. It must cost him about $4,000 to this remote control car. Like, waste of money. And then obviously shop didn't ever sell him, so you had to mail order him in. What a waste of money that were. Anyway, we have got a hell of a lot to get through this evening. Invariably, we probably won't get through it all because we never do, but we'll try our very best. We are going to be talking about, of course, that's 3-0 defeat at the hands of Bristol City, our 3rd successive defeat at home. 8 goals now conceded at Hillsborough in the league and no goals scored in front of the 20,003 fans that were in attendance, if you are to believe the official attendance that was given. I also want to talk about the protests. We can also look ahead to Grimsby Town on Tuesday in the Cup. We've got Pompey away next weekend. And then obviously, we'll go over to Patreon for extra time. We're going to be discussing Dejphon's 162 loss-making Thai companies that he's got, that's been revealed by the Trust earlier this week, as well as that £7.4 million loan that's looming over his head and due at the end of this month to the stadium. So yeah, head over to patreon.com/WTID pod if you want to watch that one, which will be pretty much straight after this episode tonight. The other big question is, will the camera hold up tonight? That is the big question. It's everyone, and nobody's bothered about whether the club's going to be sold or whether Barry Bannon's going to get another 100 appearances. All everyone is bothered about is, will Mappin's camera stay for the full duration of the show? Because that was pretty funny last week, weren't it? To be fair, that seeing a grown man panic and flap in the way that I did, the sheer panic on my face was excellent. Odds on the camera going this week. You could probably get 2-1, I think. Maybe even evens if you go to some dodgy bookmakers. But anyway, yeah, you brought one comment up there. There's a lot of people in here. We've got Stephen, we've got Daz, we've got Daniel. Evening guys, it's going to be a very long season. Definitely, we've got Dill, got Matthew. James says nobody has lent Chance of money. It's a last ditch attempt of leverage. Daz says, is it Cy with an I or Cy with a Y? That is there's so many Matts, there's so many Simons. I'm losing track, mate, to be honest. Too many of them. Dill says, every time Matt, give me with depression seeing the Pervader shirt. I might be Dill that messaged me actually. Some people want that Pervader shirt that you've got behind me. He said he's not even taken it out of the wrapper. He clearly don't want it. That's what they said.
No, it's the around the frame has not been taken out of the plastic because, as you can probably see, there's a window, which is the most useless window in the house because it opens into a conservatory that is too cold to sit in and too hot to sit in over summer unless you're recording a podcast on a Sunday evening. It's in case when inevitably I forget that that's there and just open that window to let some steam out and it all goes shattering down onto the floor. But yeah, no, that is sadly no, that is something that I won't part with just because of I think also the story behind of obviously how the shirt came to me is something that just I can't part with from a sentimental value perspective. Jan Pervader's agent getting in contact with the podcast to say, I've got a shirt, would you like it? And it arriving in an Uber from London. Derby. Yeah,
was it Derby?
London.
Yeah.
Well, no, there'd been an Uber from London that had then gone to Derby to drop off a Derby shirt to another Derby fan that had then come down to here that was then going back to London. A very, very strange turn of events in 48 hours, but I am incredibly grateful.
I actually ignored the message at first, thinking this is a load of bullshit. But there we are. The shirt is there, so it clearly wasn't. Not everything that you hear is utter bullshit, which is quite apt, really, for as a Sheffield Wednesday fan at this moment in time. Before we get on to the protests and obviously that 3-0 defeat, let's talk about tickets more. Specifically, the Grimsby game on Tuesday. It's been confirmed today that Grimsby have been given an extra 2,000 tickets on top of the 4,069 that they've already sold. There isn't 6,000 seats in that West Stand. So, yep, you've guessed it. They are on, as aptly displayed by myself. They're in the North Stand. What do you make to that? I mean, first of all, as well, so they got offered the 2,000 tickets, and there was a bit of kind of confusion, I think, over the weekend, because they've been told that they have to sell all 2,000 tickets. If they don't sell all 2,000, then they'll be refunded, and that's obviously because they're now opening the North Stand to house some of the Grimsby fans in there, and obviously it needs to be cost effective in order to do that. But yeah, it looks, well, it's been announced today at Grimsby, which I kind of suspected over the weekend. Grimsby has made up the shortfall. So if they don't sell all 2,000, doesn't matter. There will be people there will be Grimsby fans in the North Stand on Tuesday. So I think there's probably going to be more. Well, there's definitely going to be more Grimsby fans than Wednesday fans, which is, I mean, how many times has that happened in a game of football where the away fans have outnumbered the home fans?
Very few, apart from when we were in League One. I think Crewe. I remember going to Walsall as well in 2011 type of time, and we took up two sides there, and there was
Accrington. Did they give us this one side there?
There's been two sides at Accrington as well. Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, it's a fantastic gesture from Grimsby Football Club towards their supporters. Genuinely, again, I can't, as a fan, as disappointed as I am that those 2,000 tickets have been purchased and that money has gone to Dejphon Chansiri, sadly, I can't knock them, because actually they are doing the right thing by their supporters by allowing them to obviously obtain a ticket. I think also there has been I can't remember whether it's the Grimsby Supporters Trust or one of the Grimsby fan groups has come out today and said, it's a fantastic gesture from our football club. However, let's make sure we stand with Sheffield Wednesday and not spend a penny whilst we're there, which I think is also the bigger, cumulatively. Yes, I understand and appreciate the money is there. I think that's a huge deal. If I can, and there are by any chance any Grimsby fans listening to this, please visit Beres. And there are several supermarkets around there if you are looking to get a beverage beforehand as well. Please go there. Please spend your money there. Please get into the ground just 5 minutes before kick-off, because there won't be, aside from yourselves, there won't be an atmosphere. So you might as well stand and have a bit of a laugh. Please don't purchase anything whilst you're in the ground. But again, I can't knock the football club for actually covering the shortfall, because ultimately it's disgraceful. It's disgraceful that we are having to say to them, unless you can guarantee those sales, we're not going to steward it. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do that. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. But again, it's the mark of a well-run football club much lower down the pyramid who actually listens to the fans' needs and wants. Yeah,
exactly. And that's embarrassing, isn't it? Imagine selling a ticket for a game that's like 2 days away and then having to say, sorry, mate, we didn't sell enough. You can't go now. Sorry about that. That is embarrassing, isn't it, from a Grimsby perspective? And I kind of knew that this is what was going to happen. Nat says, do they know what condition the North Stand is in? Steve says, hope they bring some blue paint and brushes for the North and paint over them letters. Chris said, anyone told them to wear hard hats? Maybe that's going to be on the back of the ticket that's in the small print. And James says, have the COD Army and the Harry the Haddock got 6,500 fans? And we'll have to find out and see on Tuesday from the comfort of your own living room, by the way. But I don't want anyone going down and seeing into Hillsborough to see if they've brought 6,500 fans. I'm sure the Sky cameras will pan along and we'll be able to see them from there. Or you can do it from the comfort of Wadsley Bridge Working Men's Club as well, where I will be on Tuesday doing a live watch along as well. So I want people to come along and sit at the side of me, very much like this, like this sort of setup, talking about the game and talking about anything else you want, really. So do come along. I'm sure there'll be loads of people. There was certainly loads of people there for the Leeds game. I'm sure it's going to be the same this time around. I mean, just to put it into context, tickets are 15 quid. So if they're all adult tickets, 6,000 tickets is 90 grand. I know he doesn't get all of it. I think is it like a 60-40 split or something on ticket sales. But yeah, just as if people are wondering how much money that would actually generate, there you go. You're looking at in the region of around about 80, 90 grand, something like that, which in the grand scheme of things doesn't really go very far. But when you're absolutely brassic, I suppose you need every pound that you can get, and that's clearly where he is at the moment. And he hasn't got anything. Actually, talking about North Stand, if you do want this t-shirt, not this specific one that I'm wearing, I'm not giving you this one, but if you want the same design and everything, there was 2 people sat behind me on where my season ticket is. I think they must have got season tickets as well because they were there last week. One had the hoodie on and one had the t-shirt on, so I said thanks and all that for supporting it. But yeah, go over to wtrdpod.myshopify.com and you'll be able to get one in time for the next home game, which is have we got next? Is it QPR? I think we've got at home
next home game is QPR. Yes, next home game is QPR. Next Saturday is Plymouth next
Portsmouth.
year. Portsmouth away.
the other pit team that begins with a P as well.
On the coast, yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about these protests then. First of all, I just want to say a massive thanks to each and every one of the people that I saw either selling the scarves or handing out the leaflets from the trust. There was also, there's so many on Penistone Road. There were so many people at the bottom of Herries Road as well. I think the scarves, which I've got mine. Here we go. Look, nice fetching little black and yellow scarf or black and gold scarf. Did you get yours, Matt? Did you manage to pick one up?
No, I didn't. I bumped into Jake when he came into the Park Hotel and was having a conversation with him, and I've had a conversation with James from the Supporters Trust today. They'd all gone. The demand for them, when I spoke to James earlier, he pulled up outside the Riverside Cafe and he likened to it, if you've ever gone to a car boot and there's people there early and you've got all the good stuff, it was literally just like he got ransacked for the scarves. One thing that Jake mentioned yesterday, and obviously James mentioned it again today, I do think it's worthwhile mentioning this, James. The Supporters Trust are actually taking a loss on the scarves. They're not making any profit from it. The scarves are actually costing the Supporters Trust more than it is for what they're selling, just for the ease and convenience of the price for supporters. They've decided that they're gonna suffer that loss. Just because they don't want supporters getting out change and making up the difference and all the rest of it. So they've just said, that they're going to take that out, which again, just I think is a mark of the people who are running and in charge of the Supporters Trust, if that makes sense. I think that is it's a huge, I think every Sheffield Wednesday fan who was there and supports and backs the trust actions and the protests towards it, I think is just, I don't feel we need to particularly give their flowers any more than they're getting from every corner in Sheffield at the minute. But yeah, it's just another small shining example of just why the people who are in charge of it currently are using the position that they find themselves in to do everything to support supporters who want to get involved, really.
And you know what as well, I think it's a great move, whoever thought of the idea to do the scarves. I think because, the leaflets are great and everyone holding them up, it did have a kind of visual impact, but it's kind of, you have to do it every single time. Whereas this, I know they ran out, but I know they're going to be getting more, so I'm sure there'll be some being sold at, I guess the QPR game as well, and that'll be kind of a running theme going along. Hopefully it's not for too long, because that means that Dejphon Chansiri sold the football club. We don't need to do all these protests, but if he is going to be here for the long haul, and we're going to be in this for the long haul as well, then it's something that people can bring along every single week, every single home game. I'll be bringing my scarf along, holding it up. Obviously, other people will be getting, people that haven't got one will now be getting one, and that visual impact will just grow and grow and grow over the weeks. I think the only reason why they ran out is because they just couldn't get enough in time, really. And they had to manage to get, I think they had about 1,000. So it looked like they were more than 1,000, but that was the number that I was kind of given. If it was only 1,000, it certainly it looked like everyone had one pretty much, but clearly they haven't.
They would have done by the end of the game, James, because there's only about 1,000 people left.
Well, mate, geez, honestly, I took a picture on 92 minutes, and I was like, it is like I've never seen it so empty. Like literally, it never is that empty when it's a full ground, full stadium. Obviously, when it's a Johnson Paints Trophy game that we had, or Papa John's or whatever it was. then there's been one stand open, and it will obviously be like that on Tuesday. But for a league game, I'd never seen it like that at all. Literally, the game is still going on, and there was nobody in it. I mean, I thought, when we conceded the third, I think it was a bit of a mass exodus, weren't it, to the exits and stuff. But anyway, we'll come on to that in a second. Just on the protest, I felt like there was a lot for just one game. We had the scarves, we had the flyers on 10 minutes, we had the bag of seat, which was organised by the 1867 group. We also had the demonstration under the South Stand. There was quite a lot to kind of get involved with, and one thing you can't knock is the effort for trying. You can't say that people are just sitting on their hands and doing nothing. So from an organisation point of view, people are actually trying to do something.
Yeah, I think yesterday I think I described it in the build-up to it as a bit of a scattergun, kind of like trying to cover all bases approach that the Trust took yesterday, rather than just focusing their efforts on every kind of like one particular thing. I actually thought, aside from the reaction of supporters in the ground, I actually thought that all of the individually organised protest stuff, there was still stuff that was picked up there, but there now needs to be something that there painfully hasn't been at all home games this year, and that is a consistent vocal backing against the ownership and all that are around him for a full game. That is something that the Trust can advertise and request and ask for, and I'm sure that they would have liked that by now. But that is something that needs to be taken up by supporters. We've just mentioned it there, James. People had left before full time. There was about 6,000 there at full time yesterday. Home supporters. There were so many opportunities yesterday to get involved and to do something, apparently including walk out. And I think that is something that, I think if I just judge yesterday, I haven't seen that type of an exodus since, do you remember the Cisco Munoz, the Sunderland home game, where we were 3-0 down inside 20 minutes, and it was just a rush to the exits and who can get there quickest.
Was that an evening game as well, I want to say?
It was Tuesday evening. Yeah, Tuesday evening. I haven't seen Hillsborough look that sparse since probably then. And I mean this very nicely. I can't blame anybody. I can't blame anybody for disappearing. I can't blame anybody for leaving early. I can't, because of that is 2 back-to-back games where the performance on the pitch hasn't necessarily encouraged supporters to say. I would say that Bristol City, and I know we're going to get onto the game in a little bit more detail, I would say Bristol City are the best side that we've played so far this season. And I
think people are going, though, to back the team, though, as well, Matt. Like, people are going to... That's their... not excuse, but that's their reasoning behind going, is I'm going to back these lads. I can see they're putting effort in.
Yep.
But when they're 3-0 down after, what was it, 30 minutes,
27 minutes, something like that.
Yeah. When you're 3-0 down at that point, and you know that the squad is lacking, from an ability point of view, and and things like that. Can't fault effort. Maybe we perhaps can in a short while. Might come on to that, but you've gone there we forget that it's supposed to be entertainment. This is what it's supposed to be. You're supposed to enjoy going to a football game. But you're there and 3-0 down, and you're thinking, why did I even bother coming? For some people, not everyone, but for some, and they've obviously made that decision that's it, enough's enough, and we're gonna head for the exit. I feel, though, the start that we've had, albeit we're 23rd, we only had a point going into this game. But I felt like the performances, the fact that we came back from behind against Wrexham, the fact that we were leading for a long time against Leicester, and could have got something out of that game as well. All right, Stoke wasn't great, neither was Swansea either. But the start wasn't as bad as what people thought. And the fact that the kids have obviously got through to the third round of the Carabao Cup as well, I feel like that's kind of, people are torn between getting really angry, but then also wanting to, as I've just mentioned, support the team. I feel like we need some proper hammerings for it to change. But I also feel that by the time that's happened, unless we lose the next 2 home games in a similar fashion to this one, it's a 4-5-0 or something or whatever. If it takes a long time for that to happen, I feel like we're just going to get hardly anyone there. Like, it won't be. There won't be 20,000 fans. I mean, there wasn't 20,000 fans in there. Absolutely not. But do you know what I mean? You look around, and all the regulars that are normally here, all the season ticket holders, well, they've just chosen to stay at home. And I think it's just, and then that anger won't be there. I think that's what's going to happen. People are just fed up, and people I see loads of messages on X, people saying, I'm not going again. I've had enough now. I'm not going. What's the point? And stuff like that. And that's the big worry. And that's the big upsetting thing for me, Matt. When people said that, like, he's absolutely single-handedly ripped this football club apart, and to the point where people actually don't want to go anymore, which I think just really, really sad.
I would agree with you, James, and I think I've seen a post from somebody today who himself and his family have given up their 4 season tickets and they're refusing to go again. I'm not necessarily suggesting that everybody will choose to take that stance, especially with the financial outlay that they've clearly invested at some point. But it is very difficult in terms of, I'm just talking about myself here, it's very, very difficult to motivate yourself to give up a full day, to go up to Hillsborough at the minute, because it's a really depressing situation to put yourself in for 2 hours of an afternoon. It's really challenging, and I think that over time, I think what you may find actually, James, is, everybody a couple of weeks ago was saying about boycotts and blah blah blah, and there was that big debate surrounding, can you boycott a game? Should we be doing so? It doesn't make any difference. I think people will just vote with their feet and just won't go. And that's that is kind of where we're getting to, because I know that there was a number of people who did that yesterday, because I think the official attendance was announced at 20,009. There was never 20,000 there. There was no way.
I think I'm right. I've been speaking to a few different people, and I think that's coming at some point. But again, I just want to point out, when it comes to any kind of protest and stuff like that, just like it was with the turn your back on 10 minutes, you have to do something that's quite easy to do, and quite, that you're going to get a decent buy-in like straight away, and you kind of gauge things, and then you start to ramp things up. All right, it might not be moving as fast as what you think, but same again, like if they announced a boycott of a league fixture for QPR, personally, I don't think people would do it, but I don't think it would have as much of an effect. Again, I think it goes back to the fact that it has to get kind of worse on the pitch before that happens, because people still think, they might just win, it might just win this next game. But when it gets just, to the point where we're getting more injuries, and it's just defeat after defeat, and if the performances carry on in the way that they have been, then I think it won't be too long really until there will be a massive appetite for actually staying at home. It'll probably be, if I'm being honest, just thinking out loud, a game that's picked for being live on Sky. Yeah, just because, not one for the visual effect, but also people aren't missing out. All right, if you haven't got Sky, maybe it's a bit difficult. But what I mean is, people can still go and watch the game that they've paid for, albeit slightly different. But they're not missing out, if you know what I mean. If that's their kind of argument, that I want to go and watch the football, they'll still be able to watch it on TV. So, but we'll have to see if that happens. And I think it's coming at some point. Yeah. Let's talk about this 3-0 defeat then at the hands of Bristol City. I want to say as well, and I think we'll say this every single week, and caveat it all by, I 100% know that the reason why we are in the position that we are in is solely down to one man, Dejphon Chansiri. He's the reason why we are in such a mess. However, for the purpose of the podcast, and there was a football match between 2 sets of 11 players, and I'm going to critique it for what it was. Could we be seen as being a bit harsh? Maybe, but also as well, it's 11 footballers that are going out there that get paid to do this. Well, sometimes on time, sometimes not on time, but it's a game of football, and so people might think we're being a little bit harsh. And again, I get that there's things behind it and all, but I don't want to keep having to say, but I know it's because of this. I don't want to keep caveating, so I've decided to do it at the top, and we can just talk about the match. And there was some glaring mistakes as well, which we're just going to say for what it was. That's what we do on here. I just talking. I'm just being perfectly honest in my assessment of the game. Starting lineup, Matt: Horvath, Iofa, Otugbeyo, Maxlow, Valerie, Palmer, Bannon, Ingleson, Amas, McNeil, and Ike Ugbo. So it's 3 changes from the side that lost to Swansea before the international break. Kabatske, Jamal Lowe, and Bailey Kadamatre dropped to the bench. Harry Amas makes his debut after signing on deadline day. Gabe Otabeyo and Ike Ugbo both come in as well. Personally, Matt, I thought we were going to play a back four, and maybe we perhaps should have, but I thought it would have been kind of Amas, Max Lowe, Iofa, and Valerie. Instead, obviously, Otabeyo stepped in the middle of that three. I mean, kind of on the whole, what did you think to that starting lineup when you saw it?
It's really difficult, isn't it? Because the default setting, I think, for myself over definitely the first part of this season has been, yep, we're going with what we got because what else is there and what else is available. I think the issue is, as you've already mentioned it and highlighted it, James, there is because some of the individual mistakes that are being made by some of these, I mean, there is no ifs or buts about it. The majority of those are senior players. We actually have got a side who've won 2 games this year. And in any other season, with a raft of squad options available to you, I personally would be saying they need to come out. They need to sit. It's somebody else's opportunity next. I think with this season, I have to keep reminding myself that actually there's no difference. If we legitimately just had 12 players, yeah, I would be saying, no, they're going to play because we haven't got anybody else. We actually haven't got anybody else to fill those spots on the bench. I suppose the benefit of the younger or the cup team doing as well as they have done this year and putting in the performances that they have, both against, yes, admittedly, a 10-man League One team, but also then against the Premier League side, they are doing everything that you would be asking a player who is not playing in that first 11 to do if they're an experienced pro. They are knocking on the door and giving the manager a headache. I personally feel, after the last 2 league defeats, which we have lost 5-0 on aggregate, I would like to see some changes for Portsmouth. And that is going to mean experienced players coming out and young players being given a league debut.
I think just to kind of back Henry Cup on his selection there, he's probably got one eye on Tuesday night against Grimsby.
I don't disagree. Yeah,
do you know what I mean? He can't really put the kid. Well, he could put the kids in, but it's going to be a tough ask for him on Tuesday anyway. As all the other, the previous 2 fixtures that they've played is going to be. He probably don't want him to be tired from playing Saturday and then Tuesday because these games for them, I don't want to say it's their cup finals. That's probably doing it a bit disservice, but they're big opportunities that they're going to have. If they can overturn Grimsby, then more than likely going to get a Premier League side in the next round. It could be at, I don't know who's still in the competition. It could be at Tottenham. It could be at Arsenal. It could be it could be wherever. Do you know what I mean? That could be massive for them. So I suppose, actually, we'll play these. But I do agree, though, moving forward, whatever happens, we win, lose or draw against, we're not going to draw against Grimsby, you know what I mean? If we're through or not, some of those should really play on Saturday. I mean, there was no Cadamartri. There was no Cadamartri as well. Delayed flight. Obviously, got a goal for Jamaica against Trinidad, I want to say.
Yes. Cadamarteri. Yeah, got the goal. Yeah.
Cadamarteri, yeah. Forgot about that. So I kind of get that why he didn't start. I think that was going to be blatantly obvious that was going to be the case. Jamal Lowe dropped out as well. I wasn't really too fussed about Jamal Lowe, but you perhaps have a bit of a different slant on that.
I mean, again, I understand why people haven't been enamoured with his performances on paper. However, Jamal Lowe, his statistics this year read 1 assist, 2 pre-assists and a goal. You could argue that he's one of our best performing outfield players in a creative sense in 2 games where we've created very little and he's not started. Again, when he came on, we've mentioned this a number of times, James, he's been played out of position. His best position is wide left forward or through the middle. It is not out on the right. Well, you did the numbers last week or the week before.
Yeah.
I don't want to be... Again,
so I'm just going to get that drum out and just keep banging it.
Yeah. It's one of those situations where, for me, yesterday, and I know we're going to come on to touch on Henrik's post-match press conferences and all the rest of it, I sympathise massively because as I said at the top of the pod, I've taken on a new job and it feels like there is like a boat with loads of holes in it and you don't know where to start with it. And that was very much what I took away from Henrik's press conference yesterday, was that actually there are a number, the situation that Henrik's walked into is far worse than the one I've walked into. I've walked into a half-decent situation, actually, where I've gone. He has walked into a situation where you know how bad it's going to be, but it does feel a little bit at this point in time like, number one, we're asking players to do things that they're not capable of. Two, we are playing players out of position to fit a system rather than playing a system to suit the players that we've got, which you could argue could be levelled at the manager and the current manager when he was involved in the coaching staff under Danny Röhl. We're also trying to, I think it's very evident, we are trying to implement a new attacking style in our play. I think Henrik Pedersen said so as much yesterday, as this is something that we are trying to do, and it's something that we need to work on, and the players need the confidence to be able to do so.
Something that they could have done in pre-season, Matt? Is that what
something that they could have done in pre-season, James? Yes, yeah. But I would also argue that if you are going to experiment, the time to do it is later on down the road. When the season's gone, the season's done, everybody knows it. Then you can experiment and you can just chuck stuff at a wall and see what sticks. But at the moment, there is the nucleus of a good squad, not a good squad, a competitive championship squad. And in the last 2 games, they have not been competitive. There's no ifs or buts. I know the manager came out and was being incredibly effusive and positive yesterday, saying, in spells, we dragged ourselves back into the game. I haven't seen it in either of the last 2. Personal opinion.
Yeah, I mean, there's some comments here. Jay Blogs has said no commanding centre half. Bannon sat too deep throughout the game. John, nothing to bring on from the bench. Ronald says need to play 2 strikers at home and 5 across the back. Daniel Palmer can't play midfield anymore. Liam Palmer in midfield was always going to be a disaster. And Steve's asking whether we have a better option than Valerie. The thing is, I think they all I don't think anyone really, certainly from the starting 11 anyway, came off that pitch with with much glory. To be honest, there was bad performances all around. To be honest, the goal went in at 5 minutes and heads dropped and stuff, and it was tough.
I would agree, James. I turned around to Andy midway through the second half when there was a Bristol City fan who actually said this was potentially one of the most boring games I've watched and we've won 3-0. I would tend to agree with him. It was fucking boring yesterday. But I turned around to Andy and said, if we had a full complement of players here, if we had a full 25-person squad, how many of those that have played today keep their place for the next game? Like, how many of them, based off the performances that we've seen at Swansea and yesterday against Bristol City, how many of them, on merit, deserve to keep their starting place based on yesterday?
Well, there's not many, is there? Like, at all. I mean, no. I think certainly both your centre-backs, in terms of Otugbeyo and Iorfa, you'd be looking at them and thinking there was far too many mistakes. Yeah, Barry said there, Henrik was screaming at one point. Yeah, he certainly looked animated.
So it was just after the second goal had gone in. He was smacking the floor. He was turning around, screaming at coaching staff on the bench. He was hopping mad yesterday is how I would have described him. He wasn't like livid or angry. He was furious yesterday with the manner in which that we conceded the goals. And I would suggest that probably tells you everything that you need to know at this current situation, that there are just the same as we were talking about last year, the same as we were talking about the year before, too many experienced professionals making individual errors.
Yeah, Craig said, I can't see why he's getting mad. He knew full well what he took on. I can see him walking away soon if there's no takeover. No idea why he even agreed to take it on. Yeah, it was here last season though, Craig. So I get, he knew what he was taking on. But as you've just mentioned, Matt, like the nucleus of the side is the same. Well, it is the same because he hasn't brought anyone in because he can't. Yeah. So it's still the same players. All right, there's no Josh Windass, no Michael Smith, no Callum Patterson. Could argue Callum Patterson didn't even get in anyway. Neither did Michael Smith. He very rarely started. All right, we haven't got Pierce Charles in goal. He's injured, but he's still here. Like, he's probably frustrated because he's trying things on the training pitch and maybe it's kind of working, and then they're just doing the absolute total opposite of what they've actually been trying to work on. I think you mentioned in the post match that they didn't switch the ball from left to right. They made it really easy for Bristol City to just kind of contain them. The idea being, switching it over, you're dragging all the players across. I think you also mentioned something about sliding, in terms of, when you've got a man over, you've got to move and drop one of your the player you're marking, someone else has got to pick him up and you move across. You mentioned that weren't really happening. We'll come on to the goals later because I think that I watched it back and I was like, oh my God. And I thought it was bad in real time. And then when I watched it back, yeah, it wasn't great at midnight last night when I was when I was looking at it all. But I mean, in terms of the game as a whole, 3-0 at half time. It was game over. We were not coming back. I know we came back from 2 at Wrexham, but I didn't really see much in the performance to tell me that we were even in the game. It was far too easy for Bristol City to score the goals. We didn't really put in a block or a challenge. It was like a hot knife through butter at times in the way that they got in, and players just not on the same wavelength whatsoever, which again shouldn't really happen because we've brought one player in. Like one extra player, that was it. When we did get tight to a man, it was too easy for him just to spin, turn, and go over the top. That happened 2 or 3 times in that first half as well. They were lucky for it not to be more than 3. Midfield just got overrun. Ultimately, we didn't have any threat up top. It was just lofted balls. It was like Raggy Arse Rovers, dog and duck, Sunday League, just. It's an up at times. I mean, I get like when you're under the cosh and stuff, but again, these are professional footballers. You've got to get your foot on the ball and you've got to make a pass. And they were just electing just to oof it and just get it out. But then, you've got Ike Ugbo playing up there almost by himself. Do you know what I mean? He's not gonna get on the end of it. Do you know what I mean? I think I looked at the stats. Rob Atkinson, centre back, 11 aerial duels that he won. Person that won the most for us were Dom with 4. It's just too easy for him to win the ball in the air. I mean, what did you think to the game as a whole?
Yeah, I think it was the most routine of 3-0 away 3-0 win that you are ever likely to see as a Bristol City fan. If you win a game away from home 3-0, usually you have been absolutely sensational. If you think back to the Watford game last year, they were sensational in the second half. They took every opportunity that they got. They were really clinical going forward. Realistically, I don't think I'm off the mark in saying here, Bristol City took their foot off the gas in the second half and just 100%. Played to conserve energy with the game coming up on Tuesday. I think the players looked lost yesterday and went into their shell and weren't trying things that they would normally do and resorting to things that as fans it angers you in terms of like little flicks around the corner rather than doing I could see from your reaction there, James, that those
sorry, there was one that Barry Bannon did. I think it was in the second half. He did a little flick, and I'm like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, just do the basics. We can't even do the basics right." I would have gone apoplectic at Barry Bannon when he found in the team there. What are you doing? Like, they're not even like I mentioned being on the same wavelength. You do those when you're playing well. I know he's a great player. I know he's got those little flicks in the locker, but just read the room a little bit. I mean, look, the reason why we lost was not down to Barry Bannon doing a flick. I just want to point that out. The real reason was the referee. I think we could have won if the referee was better, to be honest. But yeah, it was.
It's one of those, James, where I think the worry is at Leicester, at Wrexham, and to a point, and actually I would agree, I know the scoreline was the same as yesterday, but actually we created an awful lot against Stoke. We couldn't create chances, and we couldn't create chances against Swansea, let alone muster a shot. And when we did have one, it wasn't on target. I've still no idea how Ike Ugbo misses that. It is a truly terrible 2 games either side of an international break, and we've deserved to lose 5-0 on aggregate with no points. Again, I said it when we started talking about the game to begin with. Bristol City in those first 30 minutes, they are a very good side and will give far more competitive teams than us problems this year. They are the best side that have come to Hillsborough or that I have seen us play by a mile this year, and credit to them. The club is run correctly, right direction from the top and a plan. Some Bristol City fans won't thank me. I mean, potentially with the news today that they're getting taken over, they won't thank me for saying this, but their chairman, Steve Lansdowne, is exactly what you would want. Stability, sensible, calculated decisions taken at the right time for the benefit of the club. When Liam Manning left there this year and went to Norwich, I bet Bristol City fans, there was a little part of them, like we would have done just any time that a manager who we half like leaves, pure panic and meltdown. Problem is, they were calculated. They knew straight away who they wanted to get in. And I would argue Gerhard Struber, who is their manager, has actually got them playing better football at less of a lick than Liam Manning has done in these opening couple of games. And they look clinical and deadly when they go forward every time. And it's not just against us. I watched their opening game of the season when they played our neighbours. And they were deadly there. They sat, soaked up pressure, and then guess what? When they win the ball in transition, they tear at you and they know exactly what they're doing.
Well, that's it, because they back themselves, and they back themselves that they can, not concede. And if they do concede, again, they back themselves that they're going to score more goals. I think it was 4-2 against Hull. I think they won, before the international break. Yeah, if you score 2, we're just going to score 3 or 4 and just going to beat you that way. The Bristol City fan that I spoke to said kind of exactly that. Really, it is entertaining. That's what you want to see. All right, it will work every single time. You're going to lose a few games, but when you go forward with purpose. And it looked like they were going to score every single time when they got through. They had a chance, and it could have been a lot worse than what it actually was. And I think some teams, the game plan would be score early. Don't take your foot off the gas. Get 2 goals as early as you can, and then that's it. Really, you don't, because our game plan, I feel, needs to be that as well. Because we're not going to we're not going to come back into the game later on. I know we did against Wrexham, but I think when we come up against some other teams, it's going to be more difficult. They're going to pull us around a lot more, and we're going to tire us out, and we're going to be just naturally tired anyway, just because of the fact that these players are going to have to play a lot of games in quick succession. We haven't got any rotation, so I feel like we need to just get ahead as early as we possibly can to kind of combat that. But because we're going, I think I've looked, I think I've got this stat written somewhere else, but first 15 minutes we've conceded 3 goals this season already. We've only played 5 games. Yeah. Like in three of those 5 games we've conceded fairly early on. I think it's 2 inside 10 minutes, and the other one was obviously inside 15. It's just not good enough, really, when you look at it in terms of taking it to the opposition and stuff, and the start that you want, and you're going, what was it? Stoke, weren't it, inside a minute? This one, it was 6 minutes at the weekend. Game plan's almost kind of gone out the window. Alex says expecting too much from the young players. Yes, but I mean, in that starting 11, you've got Otugbeo that's 20, Harry Amass 18, but he looks a dab hand. We'll talk about him later. Apart from that, Charlie McNeil 22. I'm not being funny. Once you're over the age of 20, you're still young. You still could effectively play in under 21s, but we're not talking about a 15-year-old lad here. Like, 20 years old. Like, I think you should be ready. You should be ready at that age.
I don't disagree in the sense of, are we potentially expecting too much from those young players like a Charlie McNeil? People are likening him to Josh Windass because of the nature of the playing style, I think, and because of the position that he plays in. Are we expecting to see a polished player of that quality at this time? I think there are some fans who are expecting that, but I think the majority of them aren't. I think the majority of Sheffield Wednesday fans are very conscious of the fact of, look, this is this lad's first real opportunity to see whether he can play at this level. And at the moment, you've got exactly what you would expect from him. Some good, some bad. When he keeps it, when he's confident and he realises that he's got the beating of a winger, as we saw at Wrexham, he has a field day, absolute field day. And that is what you would expect to see from a young player. Now, in years gone by, when we have had this with Jedi Gassama, for argument's sake, and I'm not saying that Charlie McNeil is anywhere near Jedi Gassama's level, but when we have had a player like that, guess what? We can pull him out. And we can allow him to have 2-3 games where he only maybe gets 5-10 minutes here, and then he comes back in for a midweek game and he sets the place alight, and then you just play him until it all goes again. I think it's one of those situations where at the minute, are we expecting too much from the young players? My personal opinion, and I can only talk for my own expectations here, my own expectations here are, for the next home game, can we go a half of football without conceding? So the first half, can we go a first half without conceding? Because that would set us up in a position to actually attack the second half and go at the game. Secondly, can we score a goal at home? Because at the moment, we can't.
Yeah.
We can't, like, for love nor money. Watching the game yesterday, I've no idea where a goal's coming from. No idea. And I have no idea how we're going to keep the ball out the net at the minute. So if you can fix those, very fundamental things and take it baby step approach at a time, I then think you can see you've got some areas and positivity to build on. Because at the minute, the second half, okay, great, 0-0 on paper. In reality, absolutely no problem. Issue is, I watched the side who had absolutely took us apart in the first half go, yeah, do you know what? We're going to make a couple of changes here. Don't overexert yourself, lads. Don't get any knocks. Don't give anything stupid away. And I watched us still trying to make things happen, and it being still very haphazard and disjointed and disconnected. And I think we probably saw a bit of this in Danny's first season here, James, up until February. Do you remember where we'd pick up like a result, we'd pick up a win, but then we'd go 2 or 3 games without one. You were like, I don't see where the next one's coming from. And then all of a sudden there would just be this little master stroke from somewhere within the coaching setup, and it'd click for a game or 2, and then we'd be back down there. And it wasn't until we went to a more pragmatic approach that actually results consistently started picking up. I understand the need to experiment at this time, but we're experimenting with players who can't play that system. I would much rather us expect more from the young players and actually say, go out there, you got 90 minutes, I'm not taking you off unless you're injured. I'm not taking you off. Say Ernie Weaver, who a big call for me to have him starting next game. Ernie Weaver, 100%. You are not coming off unless there's an injury, or I need you to come off because you've got cramp or you're out of position or whatever. But you're not coming off. Let's see what you're made of. Because what difference is it going to make?
He came on and looked like a Rolls Royce when he came on. Again, I know like we were 3-0 down with 10 minutes to go, whatever it was, but he looked really calm on the ball, like wanted to pass forward and things. Yeah, he looked a real good player, to be fair. Again, small sample size. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, like, you're right. Give him a chance. Like that's the only way he's gonna improve. Do you think Enric got the tactics wrong? Because I mean, we can talk about starting 11. But for me, like we haven't got any options. I mean, Matt's put a comment up here. Let's not forget we don't have anyone to replace these players. Imagine how they're feeling and thinking. This will ruin some careers with the situation of the club. Never thought I'd say this, but I don't think we're going to get another point all season. Like I did see that when it's just going to crucify some of these young lads. Like we kind of almost have to play the starting 11 that we've got pretty much. Like these certain plays in certain games where it could they've got to have some strong mental ability to actually be able to realize that actually it's not me, like it's just we're in a really bad situation. But back to the kind of tactics and stuff, I think playing with the back 3 with the wing backs and Harry Mass was playing so high, by the way. He was really pushed forward. Certainly his starting position was quite high up, and I think it just left us exposed. And McNeil's he's not a wing back, like he's not a No, he don't play that position. Defensively, he's terrible. I'm just going to say it. He's not very good at all in like defensive wise. And I don't think Palmer's a midfielder either. I felt like it left so many gaps that were just far too easy for Bristol City to exploit. Like you see for the goals, especially, just acres of space all over the park and no real pressing, no real challenges going in. I don't think I really knew what Ingleson was kind of doing either. He was just running around aimlessly. I couldn't tell you what his role was in that game. They all just looked a little lost. Big Artie Shaw said it felt like 11 individuals who just put on the shirt 5-3. And I do think that maybe it was the experiment. Maybe it was trying things that weren't quite ready, and also coming up against a really potent Bristol City side that just made it look worse. Really bad certainly for the first 45.
Yeah, I think there's an element of that. I think, yes, we made it look easy for Bristol City, but that's because also Bristol City made themselves very clearly the better side on the day. There was no two ways about it. If you were a Martian and you just landed on this planet and said, tell me which of these two is better, you would be able to clearly, distinctly tell. Yes, I agree. I think Henrik got his tactics wrong yesterday. I think he got his tactic wrong against Swansea. It centres around, yesterday for me, it centres around the central midfield and the defence. It has done for a long time. I think going back to the point that we were making surrounding the experienced players who were there, and they kind of have to play. Just because they're experienced professionals, and they haven't had a pre-season, which is worthwhile saying as well, it doesn't mean they don't deserve to come out when you have got a back five who have won 2 games, and none of them have featured, apart from Gabe Otegbayo. None of them have featured. So, again, if we are just looking at it an isolated individual moments, Dominic Iorfa does not deserve to keep his place. Gabe Otegbayo, on the strength of yesterday, doesn't deserve to keep his place in that back four. I would argue I'm a big advocate of Max Lowe. I thought Max Lowe had a very difficult afternoon yesterday. I thought Jan Valery has had a rough ride of it from how high he's being asked to play. And I don't think we are actually seeing the best out of him. Yes, he wants to go forward, but he is a defender first. I just think that there are easier solutions to the problem that we are effectively creating ourselves when we've got enough of them, if that makes sense. And I think that was very evident yesterday with Liam Palmer being dropped into a midfield 2 with Barry Bannon. The combined age of that midfield was 68 years old yesterday in the centre of the park.
He felt 68 years old as well.
Is Liam Palmer 33? If he's not, I've done him a disservice there. Apologies.
He is 33. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So 68 years old. I think you can play the 2 of them in there, but you need legs around them. So that whether that be a Jarvis Thornton, whether that be a Sean Vasire, because I thought when Sean Vasire came on the pitch, okay, passes went astray, but there was a lot of energy and a lot of running that wasn't there before. You can put Ingleson in there as well. You can't play the pair of them because what happens is when we lose the ball in transition, we haven't got Shea Charles covering for all of the gaps that we had last season. Anybody who watched the Portsmouth-Southampton game today, he was sensational. Absolutely sensational yet again at doing all of the shit that we watched him do last year. We haven't got that this year. You need 3 people in the centre of the park to do that one person's job. Again, Liam Palmer, for me, you play him as a right centre-back or a right-back next to Ernie Weaver and Lowe, Harry Amass, Reece Johnson, Jan Valery. You take your pick, really. Your right wing-back, you can have Valery and Iorfa rotate because they both have injury issues and they both struggle for fitness. Middle of the park, you have to go, for my money, you have to go with Jarvis Thornton because in the 2 games that he has played, he has been exactly what he's missing, a combative midfielder in the middle of the park who just gets it and gives it, doesn't try and do anything too fancy, literally just tears around, wins tackles, gets rid of the ball.
But I think that's what we need to have, though. I think we need to go back to basics. I think we just need to go back to basics and just do what works. Like, we're all sat here now. We know we're not going to stay up this season. But I want to see a bit of fight and a bit of battle. I don't want to see us 3-0 down at half time and thinking like that some players have thrown towel in because it looked like they looked lost. They looked like they weren't playing for each other. Heads had dropped. I get it's very, very difficult. This is what for most, if not every single player, probably the most difficult season they're ever going to have as a professional footballer. I get it, but like again, the tactics have to kind of reflect that as well. And just we are where we are. We're 23rd in the league. We've got 1 point. We played 5 games this season. We've got to go back to basics and just, and try and create some chances and get further up the pitch. And, I mean, even Over's trying because he just launches everything from any sort of goal kick or it just goes everything goes long and it was coming straight back. But I don't just mean play a long ball. You can play some decent football, but you don't have to. We can just tear it back a little bit. Do you know what I mean? And let's not try all these fancy stuff. We can, like you mentioned, we can do that once we get these basics right. We can start to implement those stuffs. I still feel like we could be still playing basic football come the end of the season, but we might start to see just something that we can latch onto. Because at the moment, I kind of agree with what Matt said earlier. I'm struggling to see where the next goal is going to come from, let alone the next point. And I know that sounds really dramatic, and people listening, if you have just jumped on, I said at the top, I get the reason why we're in this situation is the man at the top, is Dejphon Chansiri's fault. But again, like you look at it, and this is just the reality of the situation that we're in.
Yeah, I think again from my perspective, James, I know because we've got loads to get through still. It goes back to that idea of against Leicester, I could see the game plan. the game plan was very clearly, when it gets to Pierce Charles and he has control of the ball, then you can get yourself spread out across the pitch and we can play from there. With Ethan Horvath coming in, Ethan Horvath does not have that ability or level of comfortability on the ball. So his default is go long. Now, I would argue yesterday, the goalkeeper's going to do that. The gap between Ike Ugbo and central midfielders in the first half and Bailey Cadamartri and midfield in the second half was like a fucking chasm. It was huge.
You could put 20
yesterday.
double-decker buses in between that gap. Like, honestly, there was no support for him whatsoever. And he weren't winning the header, but then we weren't winning the second ball either. And I think that was a massive issue yesterday.
And that's the difference between what we were seeing against Leicester, Stoke and Wrexham, where Leicester, Stoke and Wrexham, those games that we were playing, if we were going long, which we did frequently do against Leicester, Bailey Cadamartri would jump, but there was no expectation for him to win it. But then there was a backing up of the central midfield and the wingers who would win the second ball and you'd play from there. We were very, very good at it in the season when we survived that game away at Blackburn and at home to West Brom and last day at Sunderland. That is what we were top of the division for, winning second balls.
I'm no coach.
From that now.
I'm no coach, I'm no manager or whatever, but that's how you kind of win football games, is winning them the second balls. You don't have to win the first header. You don't have to get the first contact every single time. It helps, obviously. But, when you're pumping it up, they're just going to head it straight back into that kind of void in between the forwards and the midfielders. That's where you need to win the balls. And then if you're good in that area, which Bristol City were, you see for the second goal, I think it was.
Yep.
That's where they win the ball in that area. All right, that wasn't necessarily a second ball. That was just a good interception. But you do that, it makes the job a lot easier. I'm just going to bring this one up. John says, "How long is Charles out for? Has it been said?" I think he's had surgery, and I think he's going to be back training in a couple of weeks. I want to say Henrik said before this game, but yeah, that's just back training. I don't think he's training currently at the moment, so we're still probably 4, 5, 6 weeks off him coming back.
I don't want to be horrible here, James. The last thing that you want to do to a potential asset to keep the club on life support is rush him back.
Yeah, 100%.
Not that I want Dejphon Chansiri here at all for any longer. But if there's a choice of actually keeping the lights on and somebody actually at Sheffield Wednesday, there is no way I would want to risk that young man's career also. There is absolutely no way I would be. We are a worse side without him in, categorically, both defensively and from an attacking perspective. Yeah. We are a worse side without him in the team. That is how important he is, because he sets off all of our attacking moves and has done in the 3 games that he's played for us. And he's a fucking good goalkeeper as well at keeping a ball out the net.
The fact that he plays out from the back invites players on, and then he picks that pass out into the midfield and takes about 5 players out of the game straight away, doesn't he? That's what he's really good at.
Well, that's exactly what I know that the slightly different levels and different ways of doing it. James Beadle also did that for 18 months at Sheffield Wednesday. Not necessarily to the levels that Pierce Charles is able to distribute, but that was what James Beadle
Sunderland
did. Yeah. But last year there were several instances. We can point to the individual instances where it's gone wrong. Sunderland, I think Leicester away in that first season. Fucking hell, that was a bad mix-up between him and Will Vaulks. Yeah. But there are a number of instances where you just don't remember because it happened and it worked well. And we would find that pass out to. Here's one for you, James. How many times have you seen a wing-back go high and wide and the ball be whipped around the oncoming forward to actually find them in 20 yards of space? First 3 games, it happened an awful lot. Now it don't happen. And that, I think, adjustment to the squad is something that we have seen massively over the last 2 games. The squad don't know how to adapt. And currently, I would say on the showing of it, that is having such a huge detrimental effect on our attacking and defensive capabilities. Because as you said, in transition, I mean, it's been our Achilles heel for 2-3 seasons now. You lose the ball and we're never getting back. Yesterday and against Swansea, it's criminal. We lose the ball, You slip it into 3 players who are the other side of midfield, and it's 3v3, and all you've got to do is work an overload, and you clean in. It was a good job that I think it was Mehmeti, who was playing wide left for Bristol City yesterday, spent more time fucking about trying to do step-overs and score from 30 yards and create an angle for a shot because they were 3-0 up than actually just playing the simple pass. Because had they just played the simple pass in that second half, that would have been 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot that I've not had on my bingo card this season. This is another one from Louis. We really are missing Chalobah. I did not expect those words to come out of anyone's mouth, but I have to agree. Really, like the glimpses that we saw last season. I want to say Norwich away, where he did really well, and obviously
great.
He looked good in that first game against Leicester as well. So we just need bodies. We just need players back. We need options. That's what we need, and we haven't got any of those options at the moment. There is some stuff that I was going to skip over. I just want to talk about the goals. We'll see how much time we've got left. 6 minutes in, it's a Harry Amass own goal. I have to admit, from where I was sat, I didn't think it was an own goal. Like, obviously I've watched it back, and it clearly is. It was going wide when he hits it, but. Yes. It's a corner that comes in. We actually win possession, but we don't clear our lines. McNeil just can't get away with the ball. I think then he gets dispossessed. Then it's McNeil and Ingleson just kind of ball watching when you watch it back. They slide it into Mehmeti, throws it at that point, and they have 4 players in kind of the centre of the box, and we have 5. So we've got an extra man. All right, right. Dom then has to go and engage with Mehmeti, and then Dickey does what every good striker does, except he's actually a centre back, and he just holds back. The ball gets pulled back to him. He does then give a centre back's finish because he just like spoons it off to the right hand side. But then, I mean, look, when your luck's not in, when things are going bad, nothing goes right, does it? It is a mass kind of like in the, I don't know, in the chest, neck area or whatever, and it goes in the back of the net, and you're thinking, like, I mean, 6 minutes gone at this point. You're just thinking, what is the point? But there was a lot of opportunities there, and clearly Bristol City are a very organised side, and they just showed you how simple it is to win a game of football. Win the ball high, and then just drag it back to the 6-yard box or the penalty spot. Ike Ugbo-esque when he was in that purple patch.
Yep.
And all right, his shot was missing, but then you score a goal from it. Football can be very, very simple at times, can't it, Matt?
Yeah, I think so. I think also, mate, it's when you look at it, as you said right at the top of it, when your fucking luck's out as a football club, your luck is out. Because I agree with you. I know some people have been a little bit more turned off on I don't know if they were ever turned on Harry Amass. He's 18, so I'd watch yourselves. But they were a little more turned off by Harry Amass's performance than I was myself, because I thought Harry Amass brought exactly what you were told to expect from Harry Amass, which is looks really good going forward. He's not a defender. And that's not a slight on him. He's playing in one of the best youth setups in the world, where he's probably got ferried to left wing because he's not quite got the pace that left wingers have at those top clubs. He's trying to do all the right things as well. It's just a shame, because when Rob Dickey takes the shot, I am smack in line with it, and I'm going, well, that's what. No, it's not. No, it's not.
It was wide, and now it's gone in.
Yeah, it was. It was going about 3 yards wide and counting. Like, it was still going off. It might actually, because there was that much bloody spin on the ball. There was a walker. There was a what's its name? There was like people walking and kind of going, oh no, that's gone. Like, that's gone. It might have even stayed in. It was a calamity of a goal, and I think you mentioned it right at the top when you were describing the goal and breaking it down. Svante Ingleson and Charlie McNeil ball watching, not doing the simple thing and just engaging, and that's really difficult. Like, really difficult when you have done so. You've defended the corner. The ball comes to Charlie McNeil. He's
actually win possession. You've won possession from the corner as well.
Yeah, and one thing that I would say is the options for a defender who won the ball around the penalty area yesterday were non-existent. If we won the ball in our own penalty area yesterday and you looked up the pitch, it was, I've got to hit it 60-yard diag to hit the middle of the pitch here. I've got no hope in getting this to them. And that's when it forces players to kind of like check and fake, and then they just get dispossessed. And as you say, clinical inside, like clinical decision made straight away at 1-0, and you knew what was coming from there.
You made that point of like options and stuff. I thought there was limited all yesterday. Really, there was a moment. It would have been in the first half, kicking towards the cop, and we had the ball kind of down near the dugout. So for me, on the far side, in front of the south stand, we've got the ball there, and I look up, and I can't remember what had happened, but like Ingleson's down near the north stand, and he's with Ugbo, so they're right next to each other, and they're just trotting. They're not in any kind of rush to get back into the center of the pitch or get into a position where they can receive the ball. Look, I'm not asking everyone to kind of just surround the ball constantly. You've got to have some shape and stuff, but like it was difficult yesterday, and they wasn't making it easy for each other. They were asking a lot of each player, and I've not looked at the stats, but I'm sure if you looked at kind of the stats for being dispossessed, certainly given the eye test, I'm guessing it's a lot, because I feel like we lost possession quite often fairly cheaply as well. I mean, the second goal comes in 18 minutes, so 12 minutes later, Emil Rees picked him out on the preview show. Of course I did. That's his fourth goal now against us in the last 3 games. Scored 3 against us last season for Preston, and now he's bagged one in the red of Bristol City. But yeah, it's just absolutely abysmal defending. It's McNeil again. I keep mentioning his name. He's done well to win the ball back down in the corner. He's kind of running towards the corner flag. He doesn't get enough on the clearance. And then it's picked up by their number 17, Sykes, who just has all the time in the world. I mean, he has to kind of jump and, get something on it. If, it falls down to him. Nobody anywhere near him whatsoever to actually... I don't mean like the time when he wins the ball, but after he was won it, it's like everyone's like looking, thinking, it's not my job. He's not my man. And they just leave him. Like I say, he's got all the time in the world to control it. Too slow to get out to him. McNeil's then too slow to get back on side. So then he plays on, I think it is Mehmeti again, who it's almost like a carbon copy of the first goal in the that ball that gets played through. Like I said, McNeil's playing Mehmeti on side. He then slips it through to Emil Rees, and then just like Cooper on Friday, Horvath can't close his legs, and it goes straight through his legs, and it's a good finish. 2-0 and 16 minutes gone, or 18 minutes gone, I think it was, and it's just game over at that point, isn't it? And I think again, just calamitous defending from the just everyone. It wasn't just like the back four, back five. It was just everyone really, not picking a man up, not engaging properly, and just allowing Bristol City just to kind of pick and choose what they want to do. They must have been laughing at each other, thinking, "Well, this is a piece of piss. This is easy." Everything they tried in that first 15 minutes just came off, didn't it?
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, also, I would, Sheffield Wednesday goalkeepers doing a tribute to Bonnie Blue this weekend. Jesus Christ. I think the other thing is, James, here, like, we've picked out Charlie McNeil, but I'm really pleased that you picked out kind of like the good that he does initially in winning the ball, because that's exactly what you'd expect.
He gets no help though whatsoever.
But he's not helped out. No, he's not helped out. And the biggest one for me is the shape of the defensive line. The line is all over the place. Like, it is all over the place. You've got somebody running back in behind. You've got somebody else following in. You've got bodies going here, there, and everywhere. And
Dom also don't get goal side either.
And that's my concern is, and again, I suppose this goes back to, it's not a slight on Dom Iorfa. We've seen enough of Dominic Iorfa in the centre of the park to know where his deficiencies are and where his strengths are. The issue comes there from putting a player in that position. From a tactics point of view, is we're not doing enough to help the central midfielders to get a challenge in on Sykes, who wins the ball initially. We haven't then got people who recognise and spot, okay, if I step out here, there is going to be somebody running in behind me. Was it Vopotnik for Swansea the other week? It's almost a carbon copy of that goal. Yeah, Dr. Robotnik. It's a carbon copy of that goal, isn't it? It's an absolute carbon copy. It's overload on our right-hand side, their left-hand side, win the ball in that area, play it through the channel, and you're cleaning on goal. And again, no criticism no criticism of Bristol City. They work it really, really well and take full advantage of it.
But it's for me, it's just all the forwards are doing when they come up against us is just getting in between two defenders, and you're just gonna nobody's gonna stop you. You're just gonna be able to nobody's on you. That ball goes in front of the defender before he can't get there, and you're just going to be able to latch onto it, and then it's just an easy, well, it's a chance on goal, isn't it? And I just watched it. And I was just really frustrated. Really, it's mistakes again. They're not. He's not hit it from 35 yards into top bins, and you've gone, what a shot that was. Not saving that one. And I think also when you look at McNeil where he picked it up, the other thing, maybe not in this situation, but also when we had Pierce Charles, I've still got him. But when he's playing, he's an option. You can give it to him in a tight spot, and he's going to come away with the ball. He'll do a bit of a feint or whatever. And he's going to he'll keep possession. Can't do that with Ethan. Like he's not an option. He's not an option to go to. Or if he is, you've got to make sure there's nobody near him at all. Because if you can't give it him in a tight spot, so you force them to go, to do what McNeil did. And I don't know whether we've not adjusted to it or not in that sense. And I don't know, maybe they're thinking about too many things. I've no idea. Third goal goes in Anis Mehmeta, that man that you mentioned, and I think he was instrumental in the first two goals.
Yeah.
I know McNeil has been mentioned a few times, but he's in absolute no man's land for this one. But he just leaves Mehmeta in acres of space.
Sorry, James. Just before you launch into that and the breakdown of the goal, that is exactly why he shouldn't be playing there, because he's not a right wing back.
He didn't know where to be. He didn't. No, if you watch him. If you watch him, he's running back. It's a break from Bristol City. He's kind of running to the penalty spot. He kind of arcs his run. He's running diagonally towards the penalty spot just to get back.
Yeah,
forgetting that Mehmeta is on his outside and he's thinking I'm going to go back stick to score a goal here. So he just doesn't pick him up. I don't even know if he's there or not. I've no idea. He certainly doesn't look. And given what happens, he probably doesn't know he's there at all. It's just an easy ball to the back post. I mean, Mehmeta doesn't even need to head it. He controls it with his feet. Yeah. McNeil obviously tries to get there. He misses the header, and then he can control it. McNeil's like I said, in absolute no man's land, and yet again another one through Ethan Horvath's legs, and it's 3-0, and then you hear the clatter of all the chairs as everyone stands up and makes the way down to the concourse. And we're half an hour in. Yeah. I genuinely feared. I thought this could be an absolute disaster here. I was watching it play out and how there was just mistakes left, right, and centre. And it was really, really tough to like watch the next 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes until half time, Matt.
I would agree. I think the fact that we managed to stem the tide somewhat before the half, because that could have got out of hand, was a positive. I think also the fact that for the remaining portion of the half, I don't remember Bristol City having further clear-cut chances to, extend their lead, which is, again, when you're looking in a season of small wins, this is a season of small wins. That is something that, again, you have to give the side credit for. And again, at half-time, you have to give the side credit for. I thought it was the right thing to do to bring Charlie McNeil off, not because I thought he was having a poor game. I think it was because it was very clear that he was out of position and you are not going to see the best of him from there. I would much rather stop trying to shoehorn players in just because they've got to play minutes and actually play a system that befits the players that we've got. If Charlie McNeil has to sit and wait to come on after 50 minutes, I'm sure he'll be chomping at the bit. But again, the best performance I have seen from, arguably, this season, one of our potentially most creative players is at Wrexham when he's asked to push up high. Olaf Kabatsky out the other wing, Charlie McNeil there, get up there and get high. Don't worry about this defensively, we'll do that. But again, I'm aware that we did something at Wrexham that we simply have not done since, which is control and dictate the ball. We are fine when we have the ball and we have a side in front of us who are a little bit nervous and sit back. Sadly, the way to beat us at the minute is just go and attack us. Just go and be front-footed. Don't try and sit. I dread to think how bad the game against Oxford is going to be against us. Jesus Christ, it's going to be two sides sat on the edge of their own 18 area with the ball just in the centre of the pitch.
You have it. No, you have it.
No, you have it. No, yeah. I'm happy with the point. You happy with the point? Yeah, I'm happy with the point.
Shake hands and walk off. Yeah,
just shake hands and walk off. We'll all not turn up to that one. But it is really difficult because, again, there is clearly an ability to play football in this side when the squad feel confident. But again, I agree with Henrik's comments post-game. The players look nervous. They look like they're not sure, and then as a reaction, they are not acting on instinct. They are second-guessing. You mentioned it earlier, James. The switcher play yesterday was non-existent. There was no such thing yesterday. There wasn't even a remote opportunity where you thought, and I think I mentioned it to Andy whilst we were talking, I think it was Bannon picked the ball up from a throw-in. He actually had time to turn, and he turned out. And last year, that ball would have just gone. Like, there'd been no thought about it, and it would have usually been Josh Windass. Josh Windass receives the throw on the half-turn, turns, and just hits a 50-yard diag. 50-50 whether it's out of play or not, but he hits it to switch it. Bannon takes the ball, he looks up, realises, might not get there. It's Jan Valery. Do you know what? I'll go back. And it's so easy to contain. At this point, and again, this is, I doubt any player would ever listen to this, just take the risks. None of us are going to criticise you for taking risks. It was Sean Chansiri in the last 5 minutes to go. He overhit a through ball by about 40 yards. Not one person was giving him shit. Everyone was like...
That's because there's no fucker here.
No, but also, James... Kadamatri's hands went up, as in like a, yep, right idea, keep doing it.
Well, there was another one. There was another one in the I think it was in the first couple of minutes. Harry Amass darted down in front of the north stand, and the ball came through, and obviously the sprinklers, which are obviously working, the ball skipped through, and it went out for a goal kick. Yeah, a ripple of a round of applause. There was another one where. I think it was Jamal Lowe when he spooned that shot and it went wide. Again, there was an applause like from the fans. So we appreciate like that these chances are going to be few and far between. But I do agree. Like, let's just try something. Nobody's gonna. It's really going to criticize for having a go. Like, do you know what I mean? That's what we want to see. We want to see chances. We want to see us try and create something. We all know it's going to be a tough season. We all know we're going to be down by, I don't know, what's the earliest we can get relegated? February? It'll be somewhere down there. I hope it's not. But yeah. I'm going to bring, where's this comment? I saw it earlier from Louis. Here we go. Louis says, I think we might have to choose which games we attack. I think I said this last week or the week before. I do believe that. I don't think Bristol City is a game that on paper you look, it's the Oxfords, it's your Charltons, it is Portsmouth as well. They're the games that you look at and you go, actually, we'll have a go at this one. The others, it's just a case of staying in it. Maybe a little bit longer than 6 minutes is my bit of advice, but yeah, probably agree on that one. I wanted to talk about a few players, but we'll just talk about Harry Amass because obviously new signing, first glimpse that we had of him. Personally, I thought he looked really good. He had some nice little touches. Clearly been told to get up high and be that kind of, I don't know, extra attacking threat. Certainly in the first half, anyway. I felt him and Max Lowe weren't really on the same wavelength, but I kind of get that. They've only just met each other like last week. They've not really been around each other that much. There was one moment where Harry went and then Max Lowe kind of checked and didn't play the pass. Yeah. Harry Amass then kind of started to come short, and then Max Lowe just launched it over the top, and you were like, hey, that's about 5 seconds too late, that one. Like, that's where he were. That's where they were before, until they were kind of offside. But I think he clearly backs himself. You can see that with just some of the touches and the passing that he does. I mean, look, coming out of Man United, you'd like to think that you back yourself, to be honest. But I think, all in all, for me, a good start in very difficult circumstances.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's also worthwhile saying, James, you see what you get from a young lad here. He's going forward, good, exposed defensively. Some really nice intertouches and changes. I thought his first touch was the absolute polar opposite to Ibrahim Sissoko's. His first touch brings the ball in, beats a player, drops a little nutmeg on, flicks it through the legs of them, Bannon switches the ball. Fucking hell, what have we signed here? Again, I would love to see him play higher because I think Olaf Kabatsky has flattered to deceive this season. That's not for want of trying. I thought he was good away at Wrexham and I thought he pulled oppositions into really difficult places, but he can't get back in the side, and if he can't get back in this side, there's an issue. You will not hear me say a bad word about Harry Amass whilst he is here at all, because he wants to be, first and foremost, and secondly, he's 18. He has effectively chucked himself out of the safety of Man United like a military bunker into the line of a machine gun and hoping that he's going to be able to dodge the bullets and make it through. It's
that scene out of Saving Private Ryan, isn't it, mate? When they go
it's the Blackadder last scene, all over the top and hoping that somebody makes it. Again, I would be astounded, absolutely astounded, if it is not in his contract that he has to play and start every game for us, and rightly so.
Well, he went off. It looked like he picked up a knock.
Cramp.
Was it?
Yeah,
No,
he was walking off, for those who can't pull that facial expression, who won't be watching this and are listening to it through an audio medium, just Google "ooh stones," because he was walking off going like that, as if, when you've had really bad cramp in the back of your like in the back of your hamstring, and you think it's gone, and then it comes back like tenfold. He was, and he was getting stretched out for it just before he went off. It was that bad. Professional athletes normally, when they get cramp, it always amazes me this. They can still straighten the leg and keep it perfectly up. This lad was like knee bent, shaking, like, oh my God, this is really bad. I would imagine it was just cramp. I would be amazed again, as I say, James, if he doesn't play every single game for us because of the nature of the loan. And again, positive for us. So
definitely.
No qualms. But again, I'm not going to get too high or low on him because there are going to be games where he looks out of his depth a little bit.
James says, has Harry played in the Championship before? If not, he's going to take a few games to settle. I don't think he has. He has played in the Premier League 4 or 5 times, but no, I don't think he's played in the Championship at all. Right, let's do 3-word match reviews then. At WTID Pod, if you wanted to get involved. Too late now, but I'm sure you can do it on Tuesday as well. Stuart's gone with down. Todd, protest was better. Matt, fuck off Dejphon. Paul's gone with just get out. Al, Big Art Show, more pain ahead. Ben, play the under-21s. Andrew, not good enough. Paul left after 3. Matt Mitchell's gone with not really bothered. Big Al, still not 5 with a little crazy emoji. Dave B, didn't bother watching. Colin, better than the Blades. Back 4 needed. Lost all interest. Men against boys. Honestly, who cares? Drew second half. No longer enjoyable. And one more. Nowhere near enough from Tom as well. So not many positive ones in there. I wonder why that is, but anyway, let's, before we finish and wrap up, we've got 2 games coming up next week. We've got Grimsby Town in the 3rd round of the Carrier Bag Cup, and then we've got Pompey away on Saturday. In terms of Grimsby, since they beat Man United in that thrilling penalty shootout, they've lost to Bristol Rovers, they've beat MK Dons, and just recently drawn to Cambridge United. The 5th in the league, 3 points off the top, 4 wins, 3 draws, and just the 1 defeat. Matt, do you think they'll be coming thinking that they can beat us on Tuesday? Because clearly we're going to be playing the under-21s again.
Yep, absolutely. I think they will have their eyes firmly set on who they could be playing after us as well, but there will be under no illusions that regardless of what team we put out, it is a football club that is currently 2 divisions above them. Do you know what? There is a huge part of me, and I don't wish Sheffield Wednesday to lose any game, but there is a huge part of me that if we get knocked out here, I have absolutely no issues with it, and I wish Grimsby Town all of the success moving forward because of the way in which that they got through their last round, and also because of the fact of, if we do get a result, we're going to be drawn at home. It's going to be somebody like Liverpool, and people are going to go, and that is going to be a big problem.
Yeah, and I just don't want that hassle. I just don't, not that it is a hassle for me. I just don't want that kind of like, do I, don't I, and all that sort of stuff.
I don't want the infighting.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just looking at the odds. 5-4 Grimsby and 9-5 to win. So we're not actually the underdogs. We're actually the favourites going into this one. I think that's probably based on the fact that if we put out as first team, you'd like to think we'd have a better chance than if we put out the kids. But we all know it is going to be the kids, and you can't deny them that opportunity, can you? Really, to go out in the third round of the cup to actually beat this Grimsby side. Do you think it'll be a bigger test than? I mean, it sounds mad. Like, do you think it'll be more difficult than the Bolton and the Leeds games? I think Leeds was difficult, but it was almost like it didn't really matter. Like, whereas this one, I don't know. I don't know whether they've. Again, with the favourites going into it, I know again that doesn't take into consideration the starting lineup. Maybe after an hour into the an hour before kickoff, them odds might change considerably. But do you think that it's going to be a tougher test? I know it sounds mad, but
I think it's. I think there will be an expectation that the players maybe put on themselves that they have to win the game because they've done so well in the previous two, and this is not as quote unquote on paper a difficult tie. One thing that I do think will happen, however, in that game is you will have an incredibly vociferous away vocal backing. More so, I mean, apologies to any Leeds fans who are listening. Myth that they made a load of noise at Hillsborough. The only noise that they made at Hillsborough, according to the Sky cameras, was when Dominic Calvert-Lewin kept fluffing his lines and singing "Marching On Together" at the start of the half. They seem to run out of steam after 10 minutes because there was nobody to play with. Grimsby fans won't do that. Grimsby fans will be cheering every fucking throw-in, every corner, every shot on target, which I would imagine there'll be quite a lot. Like, they will be really, really backing and pushing that side because how often, James, as a side who have been through the mire in Grimsby, because they have really been in the fucking shit for the past 10, 15 years, how often do you get an opportunity to go to a side like Sheffield Wednesday and have your fucking run of the place? You don't, do you? You don't get that opportunity. Sheffield Wednesday fans are very aware of what that's like from playing in League One, and there being more away fans than there are home fans in the ground. That will probably be a slightly different prospect for Grimsby this way, especially at a stadium that is as vast as Hillsborough is. And boy, does it echo when you are in there on your own and you're making all your noise. So, yeah, I mean, there's a little part of me, James, that is kind of... Obviously, I want Sheffield Wednesday to win the game because I'm a Sheffield Wednesday supporter. But if you're going to get knocked out, I'd rather be knocked out by a side like this than someone like Leeds.
I really can't call it. I have absolutely no idea which way it's going to go. We could turn up and we could, spring another surprise on another side and get through and, sneak a couple of goals. Equally, like, we could just get turned over by Grimsby side. Let's not forget we're 2 up against Manchester United, so they'll be in some, in terms of confidence, that's going to give them a world of confidence. I know they then went on and lost the next game against Bristol Rovers, but yeah, they're certainly going to fancy themselves. Quickly then, Portsmouth on Saturday. Are you headed down to Portsmouth on Saturday?
I am indeed, mate. I am indeed. I'm really looking forward to it, actually. Like
train or car?
No, car. The train was 4 hours. Drive is 2 and a bit.
That's not too. It is 4 hour drive for
from anybody
us.
from Sheffield. Yeah, for anybody from Sheffield, it's 4 hours. It's a 2 hour drive for me, but 2 and a bit, so it's not too bad. I've got train penciled in for Charlton next month.
Good lad. Yeah, they've lost to Norwich and they beat Preston at home. Just the 2 home games so far for them this season. They've just drawn 0-0 in their South Coast derby against Southampton. They have, up until that point, scored in every league game so far this season. I say every. It sounds like a really, really impressive stat, but just the 4 games that they've scored in.
It is for us.
Well, and yeah, what's the goals? What are they? Like, I've no idea. Again, we're talking. Louis said about targeting games and stuff. For me, like, this is a game that you have to go there and try and get something. There isn't going to be many games that we're going to be able to do that, and I feel like you're right as well. Make a few changes depending on what happens on Tuesday against Grimsby.
Yeah.
If the lads come through that game unscathed, give him a go. Also, as well, Bailey Cadamarchi will be back in the side as well. I think he'll be up on confidence. I think he was a notable change on Saturday when he came on. the difference he gives you. It's just a bit of impetus, a bit of energy, and stuff like that. So I think
he can play a lone front man role, can't he? He can do it on his own up top. Like, he's fine. You can leave him up there.
Yeah, James says after all that it'll be 0-0 and we'll go through 11-12 on penalties. Obviously means against Grimsby. Steve says goalkeeper called Stretch is something we need to see this season. Yeah, I thought we were going to sign Armstrong as well in the window. Yeah, I know that was rumoured. Stretch Armstrong in a starting 11 would be great to see, wouldn't it? To be fair,
yeah.
Right, let's wrap things up there. Massive thanks everyone for listening. Do really appreciate it. As always, plenty of people watching live, which is always nice, getting in the comments and stuff that we can always interact with, which is good. Do join us on Tuesday, or join myself and whoever is going to be sat alongside me. I don't know who it is, probably numerous people. We will be at I always get this wrong. I always say Mailing Bridge Working Men's Club, and that doesn't exist. It's Wadsley Bridge. And people always tell me. It's one of those things, you get something wrong, and you know you get it wrong, but you always keep reaching for the wrong answer all the time. But yeah, Wadsley Bridge Working Men's Club. I'll be there on Tuesday. I might bring a little scarf along, black and yellow, doing a watch along. So if you're not there, you can still tune in on YouTube and just hear me talking about the game as it happens in real time. Got some fancy graphics as well, haven't we, Matt, as well for that for that one. Just think Sky Sports, and yeah, that's kind of the look we're going for in the asphalt colour scheme. Black and yellow, of course. We'll change to blue at some point once the dictator has gone, but black and yellow for this time around. We are going to jump over to Patreon now and talk about Chansiri's business empire, and also this. Matt, what are you laughing at? He's got 19 businesses, mate. 19 he's got. That's quite a big empire.
Turns a fucking profit.
No. And he's got one over here that doesn't turn a profit. Oh, he's got about. He must have got like 30 businesses when you had Sheffield 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
3, 4, 5. There was Sheffield 5, Elevate, D Taxis. There's 7. Sheffield Wednesday as 8. There's got to be another.
He's on 26 now. So it must be a record.
Fucking what a mess.
Anyway, we're going to be talking about that and probably poking a bit of fun as well. And also the stadium loan that's due at the end of this month as well, which is quite interesting. I'm guessing you've got a comment.
Sorry, James, I've just seen this from Liam Kane. No. 19 for your Phoenix Knights weekly quote here, weekly reference. Beautiful.
Rave on. The louder you scream, the faster the ride.
Those are the rules, folks.
Patreon.com/WTID pod. Give me 5 minutes and we'll see you over there. North Stand. Don't join the cop. Join the North Stand. I don't want any messages from someone saying, I've joined up, but I can't see you. You need to join the North Stand tier, and then you'll be able to listen to us. Probably saying some more Phoenix Knights quotes. Thank you very much, everyone. And we'll